A record 22 million American households, that's 1 in 4 renters, now spend more than half their income on rent and utilities. For the first time in history, the typical renter in the United States is officially cost-burdened. This isn't just expensive housing. It's a systemic failure that's trapping millions in a cycle of renting with no path out. The system creating this crisis is far more complex and deliberate than simple supply and demand. Economists use a simple metric. If you spend more than 30% of your gross income on housing, you are cost-burdened. Over 50% is severely cost-burdened, meaning you're likely sacrificing essentials like food or health care. Before 2000, about 20% of renters were cost-burdened. Today, that number is over 50%. In cities like Miami, Los Angeles, and New York, the median rent now requires an income of over $100,000 to be affordable. This benchmark isn't arbitrary. It's the breaking point where housing instability begins to ripple through every other aspect of life and the broader economy. The root cause is a massive, decades-long shortage of housing units. Harvard's Joint Center for Housing Studies estimates the U.S. needs to build 4.3 million more apartments just to meet current demand and address the affordability gap. Why the shortage? After the 2008 financial crisis, home building collapsed and never fully recovered. Skilled laborers left the industry, and construction companies folded. For over a decade, we've built at a pace far below historical averages, while household formation continued. The pandemic supply chain issues and shifting demand patterns then poured gasoline on this slow-burning fire. But there's a new, powerful player in the market: Wall Street. In the aftermath of the 2008 crisis, private equity firms and institutional investors like Blackstone, Invitation Homes, and Progress Residential bought hundreds of thousands of single-family homes, turning them into permanent rental stock. These aren't mom-and-pop landlords. They're sophisticated financial machines. They use algorithms to set rents at maximum profit, often pushing entire regional markets higher. They have the capital to outbid traditional home buyers, converting potential owner-occupied homes into rental properties and shrinking the path to ownership. Even when developers want to build, they often can't. The problem is zoning. Vast swaths of American cities, especially affluent suburbs, are zoned exclusively for single-family homes, prohibiting the construction of duplexes, triplexes, or apartment buildings. This is called exclusionary zoning, and it artificially restricts housing supply, protects property values for existing homeowners, and pushes density and higher rents into limited urban corridors. These regulations are a primary reason why building enough housing, especially affordable housing near jobs, is politically impossible in many areas. The pandemic permanently reshaped where people want to live. The rise of remote work triggered a mass migration from expensive coastal cities to Sun Belt cities like Austin, Phoenix, and Nashville. This sudden surge in demand overwhelmed these markets, where housing supply was already tight. Rents in these migration hotspots spiked 30%, 40%, even 50% in just 2 years. Meanwhile, in some coastal cities, rents briefly dipped only to come roaring back, creating a nationwide price elevation with few affordable havens left. If we need to build more, why don't we just build? The answer is soaring construction costs. Lumber prices have been volatile. The cost of concrete, steel, and copper remains elevated. Most critically, there's a severe shortage of skilled construction labor, driving wages higher. Complying with modern building codes and energy efficiency standards adds more expense. For a developer, building a luxury apartment complex with high rents is often the only financially feasible project. Building truly affordable units without substantial government subsidy frequently doesn't pencil out, leaving that segment of the market perpetually underserved. This creates a vicious cycle, the downward mobility trap. When you're spending 40%, 50%, or 60% of your income on rent, saving for a 20% down payment on a median-priced home, which now requires over $80,000 in cash, becomes mathematically impossible. You're stuck. Each rent increase pushes the dream of ownership further away. This trap is creating a permanent renter class, eroding the traditional American wealth-building engine of home equity and locking an entire generation out of financial stability. Policy responses have been woefully inadequate. Rent control, while politically popular in some areas, often discourages new construction and maintenance, worsening long-term supply. Housing vouchers are underfunded and don't address the core shortage. Efforts to reform zoning face fierce NIMBY. Not in my backyard. Opposition from homeowners who fear change will hurt their property values. The federal government has largely retreated from directly funding public housing. Without a coordinated, supply-focused national strategy, local piecemeal solutions are losing the battle against nationwide market forces. The rental affordability crisis is more than a personal finance problem. It's a structural threat to the economy and social fabric. It stifles mobility, as workers can't afford to move to cities with better jobs. It depresses consumer spending, as more income flows to landlords instead of local businesses. It exacerbates inequality, transferring wealth from younger, poorer renters to older, wealthier homeowners and institutional investors. And it jeopardizes